Welcome to the Enginerdy Show. This is Mr. Pold, and I'm here with...
St. Jimmy.
And we are missing one DVD.
Yep, he's not here. He's at work because he doesn't want to work during the day because he has a concussion.
And we'll tell you about how he got that later.
Our fake sponsor this week is Funhouse Funerals. We put the fun in funeral. You know, that looks better written out than out loud because you pronounce the U differently.
That's true.
Oh well.
But it is kind of creepy when they have an open casket and your deceased loved one's dressed as a clown.
Yes. Well, it does make it more fun.
Yes.
There's like a juggler.
Funhouse mirrors.
Yeah. You can like take your picture with the cutout in like a, so it looks like you're in a coffin.
That's my favorite part, actually.
Yeah. All right. So, should we talk about DVD first? Why is this?
It is sounding kind of...
Turn that knob down a little, maybe. It's weird.
Sounds
Okay.
kind of tinny.
Hopefully that's not picking up on the recording.
Yeah.
So DVD. What happened was he was testing out his AT-AT Halloween costume that he made.
Oh, uh-huh.
But one of his kids ran around and wrapped a cable around his legs, and he fell over and smashed his face on a pumpkin,
Uh-huh.
and that's how he got the concussion.
See, I heard that he was riding a horse bareback and trying to do some vaulting, but then his foot got caught in the stirrup, and he fell off and hit his head on a rock.
So, I thought he was riding bareback.
Well, I didn't mean the horse was bareback. I meant he
Oh,
was bareback.
he's bareback.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Or was he wearing a stirrup?
I didn't hear that much of the story. So.
Okay. There was a stirrup involved in barebackedness.
Yes.
Alright. So we had an interesting weekend where the two of us and our wives drove down to visit Master Zed and Charlie.
Yes.
That was a lot of fun.
It was.
It's nice getting away without the kids.
Yep.
For me. You can do that whenever you want, I guess. But your kids are older and
they don't live with me.
Don't live with you. But
yes.
The reason I went down was because I was getting my new pickup.
Yes, we were picking up your pickup.
We picked it up.
And it was very heavy.
It was very heavy. It weighs almost 3 tons.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's like 5,800 pounds.
So, let's see. There was 6 of us pushing on it?
Yeah.
So how many pounds per person is that?
Well, we weren't lifting it, so...
That's true.
That still sounds weird.
It does.
Alright. Well, we'll move on. So it's a 1962 GMC C10.
Mm-hmm.
Has a huge V6 engine in it.
Oh, yeah?
So I was figuring out it's the same size as the engine in my first car, but that was a V8.
Oh.
And this is a V6, and it's got the same cubic inches.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
With 2 fewer cylinders. Haven't got it running yet. I have been working on it.
So do you know what it'll take to get it running?
Well, apparently it should run... I could have probably just started it up.
Mm-hmm.
But the gas that's in it has been in there for a really long time.
Yeah.
And when I took the gas cap off, you could smell that it had gone bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also wanted to change the oil out because it's been sitting there for a long time. So
you don't want to seize the engine up.
Once I get those 2 things, I'm going to check, like the coolant. It has an oil bath air filter, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to clean that out and put fresh oil in it. And, yeah.
You take the old gas out?
Yeah. Well, it depends on how much is in there. If there's not much in there, I might just fill it up with fresh gas. And
I hope it mixes enough.
So it mixes up, and it'll probably be fine.
Okay.
It's an old engine. I mean, it's
right.
not like it's going to care too much.
Yeah.
And I ordered the oil filter, so I'm waiting for that to come in the mail, because you can't just buy it at the parts store.
So the cool thing about it is our great-grandfather bought the truck brand new.
Yes, in 1962.
Yep.
And when he died, it went to our grandmother, and they drove it a little bit until she stopped driving. And so it's been sitting in her garage for a long time.
Yeah.
It's got less than half as many miles as my wife's truck that is 10 years old.
Wow.
So it's the speedometer or the odometer only goes up to 10,000s place, and they said it's turned over once, so it's got 103,000 miles on it in the last 55 years.
Wow.
So it's pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I actually got it registered today, got my license plates on it and insurance on it, so as soon as I get it going, I can start driving it.
Sweet.
I got it mainly because I've been riding my motorcycle year-round for years now, and I'm tired of riding in the rain when it's
I don't blame you.
40 degrees or less. So now I'll be able to just hop in my Jimmy and...
So you're gonna take the canopy off the back?
Yeah, it's really hard to see out the back with it on.
Oh yeah, that's the same with my 1980 truck.
Yeah, so, and I don't really like the way the canopy looks.
Yeah, it looks...
I think it'll look a lot better with the canopy off. But...
You considering painting it or anything?
Oh yeah, eventually. It needs a lot of body work.
Yeah, I noticed that there's a few dents.
You might need to get closer to your microphone.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, what Uncle Ken was saying was that our great-grandpa would... Basically, he only drove it to go to the bar, and then he would drive home after having imbibed quite a bit.
Great.
So he ran into quite a bit of stuff. And then the grill has some damage on it.
Yeah, I saw that.
He said that was because he had it in his shop, and he thought it was in neutral, and he tapped the starter just to get the engine to turn over, and it started and drove forward into his workbench and was sitting there pushing against it with the wheels spinning until he could get it shut off. Because he may have just been leaning in through the door, not actually like sitting in it.
Right.
So I think that's what I heard him say anyways, so something to that effect. So a little bit of damage. There's a picture of it on Twitter.
Oh, okay, cool.
With me and Grandma standing in front of it.
Oh.
So
she did not want her picture taken, and now it's on Twitter.
I know, and I think I'm going to use... Well, maybe I won't use that picture for this episode. Maybe I'll use one of the other ones that she's not in, but...
Oh, like the one with us all standing around looking into the engine?
Maybe. Yeah.
That was fun.
It was a good weekend. We had some excellent barbecue in Portland. That was yummy. So on our way down there, we stopped and ate at this Mexican restaurant. And the waiter was Hispanic, and
he was hysterical.
He was joking, but it was hard. At first, I didn't realize he was trying to be funny.
Yeah.
He's like,
I caught it, but
all together on one check, and we're like, no, split it. He's like, okay, 4 checks. And I was like, no, 2. And then I was like, oh, he's joking, but his delivery
was very
dry. So, and then he was joking the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And then our waiter at the barbecue place on Saturday was jokey also. So I was like, man, all of our waiters this weekend are funny guys.
Well, he saw us checking out the interior structure of the establishment.
Well, when you're hanging out with structural engineers, you ask, why do they do that with those pieces of wood? And then they explain it, and then the waiter's like, why are they staring at the ceiling?
We saw Master Zed play some rugby.
Oh, yeah. You can see pictures of that on Twitter, too.
Oh, cool.
Well, let's see.
I don't go on Twitter, so...
Well, I guess the reason it was on Twitter is I used it as our show art.
Oh, okay.
So you can see it on the website. There's a picture of Master Zed about to tackle somebody. that's trying to catch the ball.
Well, I think he scored the first try of the game too, right?
Yeah, his team won by a fair margin. It was like 30-something
30.
to 20 maybe.
Yeah.
32 or 35.
Yeah. I don't remember.
It's fun to watch. You gotta kind of know what's going on to get much out of it, but I've seen him play 3 times now.
Well, and we have Charlie standing on the sideline that can
Yeah,
help us out.
yeah, she kind of explained it.
Yep.
It was fun. Especially when they win.
Yeah. I've only been to 2 of his games, and they won both games.
I think he's won all the ones that I've been to. So.
Okay.
Well, 2 of them were ones you've been to. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had to rent a U-Haul trailer.
That was fun, right?
Yeah, so I called the nearest place that was open on Sunday to Grandma's house and reserved the trailer. And then I got an email saying, okay, your preferred pickup location is this one, which is the one I called. So we go there to pick it up, and they're like, oh, it's at another location. And I'm like, my email said it would be here. And they look it up, they're like, oh, it says they tried to call you and they sent you a text. And I'm like, well, I definitely didn't have a call. I looked at my texts, and I did have a text from them.
Oh.
But I must have ignored it somehow. So we had to drive down to another place that was a little further away
to
get it.
So long.
And we get there, and we turn on the road right before their building where their driveways are, and the driveways all have cones in front of them. So we're like, okay, so we just park on the street down the block and walk over there to check in or whatever and fill out the paperwork. And the first thing is like, oh, just pull in and we'll hook it up, and then we'll worry about the paperwork. And she's like, you got to pull around the back side of the building where the equipment return lane is. And meanwhile, we've seen like at least 3 other cars pull down that road and be like, what do we do? There's cones here, you know? And so we walked back down the street to the truck, got it, and my hitch wasn't rated. My ball wasn't rated for high enough to pull it. So I was like, well, can you hook me up with a ball? He's like, yeah. So he runs in and grabs one. It was like $25 for the whole assembly.
To just rent it, or?
No, I bought it.
Oh, okay, so cool.
Now I have a ball that's rated for a lot of, because the trailer weighs like 2,100 pounds. The truck weighs 5,800 pounds, and my ball was stamped on it 2,000 pounds. Oh, it's like, yeah, that's probably not
gonna work.
But anyways, so I have a new ball. Well, my wife, as soon as we got home, she's like, can I take these ugly U-Haul stickers off? I was like, yeah. She sat there and peeled all the U-Haul stickers off the tubing part of it that goes in your hitch.
And she put budget rental ones on instead. No,
yeah, since we have a bunch of those laying around.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, then we, got the trailer to Grandma's and got the truck, and Dad had given me a come along to use to kind of winch it up there, because we couldn't think of a good way to use Master Zed's winch on his truck.
Which we did use that to get it out of the garage.
Yeah.
So.
Which it was really nice having that, because we could slowly pull it back while I was steering, and Uncle Ken was watching the side, and because we had to kind of back it out at an angle. And apparently the come along was only rated for 900 pounds, and that was not enough.
No. Well, we did get it.
We got it most of the way up there with it, and with 3 of you on the back, kind of just pushing somewhat.
Then we had like 6 inches to go.
Well, yeah, the back wheels got to the top of the ramp, and the front wheels were on this bar that holds the strap to strap the wheels. And we couldn't get it over the last hump, even with me back there helping.
Yeah, with the 5 of us.
We got Master Zed back there with us, and still couldn't push it over that. And this neighbor was coming by, and he was pretty stocky. So he got back there, and we finally got it up.
Right.
And we had Aunt Colleen up front, making sure the come along
long-time listener of the show
didn't, slip and the truck roll backwards on us. And we ended up kind of running into her with the truck because it went, once it got over the little
once
hump,
we got up there,
it went the last,
few inches.
14 inches or whatever. But she was fine, supposedly.
That's how she got the concussion. No, just kidding.
And then we just drove home, and my pickup pulled it fine.
Yeah,
my F-150.
It was fine.
Did 60 the whole way home and got home way faster than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I was thinking it would take us at least an extra hour, and it didn't seem like it took much more than normal.
Right.
So, and it was really easy to unload because of the whole gravity thing. And
yeah, because your street's kind of at a slope.
Street's at an angle, and then my driveway's a down slope.
Yep.
So we just got off the trailer, the brakes work, and it steers, so I have it in my driveway. It's up on jack stands right now because I wanted it more level to drain the oil.
Yeah.
The drain plug's always in the back of the oil pan.
Right.
And I wanted to drain the oil because I had to remove the oil filter to see if there was a number on the cartridge.
So you could get a new one.
So I could get a new one, because in my Googling, I could never pin down exactly which cartridge it took. And luckily it had a Napa ID number, so I just ordered it from Napa.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we played a couple board games while we were down there with them, but we played Battlestar Galactica board game.
Yeah, and at first I was just like, this is not going to be fun.
Yeah, there's so many rules, and it's just like, couldn't figure out how to play
it. The first couple of rounds, it was just like, what is going, I understand what was going on at that point, but still I didn't think it was a very good game. But once we got a little bit further into it, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty interesting, and you actually have to think ahead.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fun.
And then
you get to pick which character you are to start with.
Yeah, and then randomly, depending on how many players you are, one or two of the players turn out to be Cylons.
Yep.
And it was Masters Ed and Charlie were both Cylons.
Yeah.
So then they're trying to stop us from meeting our goal, and they almost did. So we took a big risk at the end to try and hopefully get to the end where we win, and it paid off.
Yeah, so I played as Colonel Ty.
Yeah.
And I became the president.
Yeah.
I was also in charge of the military.
So Charlie was the president to start off.
Yeah.
And then when she revealed herself as a Cylon, I became president. And then there was a coup by Mr. Pold, and he takes over. I was like,
hey, I just declared martial law.
I don't care. So I just let him have it.
And then I made my wife the vice president.
Yeah.
She was Starbuck.
Yeah, it was getting really late by the end.
Oh yeah, it was a long game.
It was a long game.
But I started off my turn by nuking one of the base stars of the Cylons.
Yeah, and that was the thing, was there were certain aspects where the rules weren't very clear. Like, what do you do when you draw this card? We had to discuss, like, well, if we do this, then this, it was like, we kind of settled on a way that seemed like the best option, but it was weird. So, yeah, it was fun, though. It's always fun hanging out with Masters Ed and Charlie.
Yep, got to play some of his original Nintendo that...
Oh, yeah.
I guess it was ours from when we were kids.
Yeah, we played some River City Ransom. It was fun.
Oh.
And, yeah. It's nice now that they have a house instead of a tiny condo, so that they have spare bedrooms and stuff. So it was really fun weekend.
Yep.
Well, should we go on to Nerdiculture?
Yes, let's do it.
So we had movie night again, and we watched Graveyard
Shift.
Based on a Stephen King short. It's number 38 on the list of Stephen King movies, so it's the third worst one according to the Vulture article.
Yeah. I guess it tracks pretty closely with the short story from what I read on Wikipedia.
Oh,
except in the short story, the protagonist also dies.
Oh, he doesn't.
And he doesn't kill the
Really?
monster. He ends up dying. So he also has an active role in killing the foreman in the short story.
Oh.
So basically, the plot of this is there's this old mill in this Maine town, and actually some of it is filmed in Bangor, Maine, but
Yeah, I
the
saw
whole
that.
thing is filmed in Maine. Oh, DVD already had his things filled out. Cool.
Good.
But anyway, it's about this guy that comes into town and he hires on at the mill, onto the graveyard shift because I guess there's an opening there.
There's like a job. It's a one-man job.
Yeah.
They do it at night because it's so hot
Yeah.
that they can only stand to be there at night.
But anyway, he ends up, and this mill is like infested with rats.
Oh yeah, there's rats and
everywhere.
They like to watch the guy that's working graveyard.
Yeah.
They like line up everywhere and watch him. And
so anyway, the foreman of the mill hires the protagonist and a few other characters to clean out
the sub-basement.
the basement
Yeah.
of the mill. And while they're doing that, they find an even lower basement, and they go down in there and they find a monster bat or something that kills them, and then a couple of them escape, but most of them die.
Yeah, so the movie starts with the guy running that machine.
Oh yeah.
Killing rats.
Like throwing them into
the machine. So it's like a machine that like takes cotton or wool and processes it. So it's got like these shear things that are like
teeth.
Yeah, they're like teeth, and they're like separating it out or something. And then upstairs, the other workers are like running looms and stuff.
Yeah.
And so he's like catching rats and throwing them in there, and then
he gets killed by an unseen
You see
monster.
This big shadow show up, and he turns around and screams and gets knocked back into the machine, and it cuts him up.
Kind of reminded us of the Mangler.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's the Mangler too.
That this movie came out in 1990.
Oh, so it was before the Mangler.
Yeah, 5 years.
Gotcha. So it was the pre-Mangler.
So should we go through the...
Yeah, so title quality, the title is The Graveyard Shift, which...
It's a good title for it.
It worked out, so probably pretty high marks for that. What do you think? Out of 10?
Yeah, I'd give it 7 probably.
Alright, I'm with you. It doesn't tell you much about the movie, but it's kind of a horror, and you don't know, like, when we started, I didn't really know what it was going to be about,
right.
So it's kind of good to have that not knowing.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been like The Bat Under the Factory. Or, I don't know. Casting, were there any?
So the only actor we recognized was the guy that played Wormtongue in the the Two Towers movie.
Yeah, he was the exterminator.
I guess also he also plays the voice of Chucky in all the different Chucky movies.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Movies. Yeah.
Interesting.
I was scrolling through his IMDb, and it's
also, but the female protagonist was also recognizable.
Oh, I didn't recognize.
I don't remember her name, but she did look familiar, and I looked her up, and she's been in movies I've seen.
So I'll look her up. The main antagonist in the movie, at first, I thought it was what's the guy that plays the Punisher in the new Marvel.
Yeah.
When I first saw him, that's who I thought it was, but it's not.
So did we.
But I was reading through his profile, and I guess he's one of the most highly educated actors in Hollywood. Like, he's been a professor and stuff, and...
Kelly Wolf.
Oh. See, so the Stephen... Mocked, yeah. Actually, not too bad of an actor for what he was asked to do, you know?
Yeah.
So we're on casting, so... I mean, the guy that played the Exterminator has been in a lot of horror-type movies.
Yeah. I didn't think he was that good of an actor.
His role wasn't that important in the movie at all, though.
That's true. And he was way over the top.
I'd probably give it a 3.
Okay. It's like we're going 3s. DVD also gave it a 3.
Soundtrack.
I didn't even notice.
It seemed like there was one song. Oh, the Beach Boys song when they
Oh,
were
yeah, they had it
spraying the
on
rats. They're spraying the rats at the hoses, and it shows these rats trying to stay afloat in this little river of water that they're creating, and they're playing the Beach Boys
Yeah,
song.
there's like chunks of wood floating down. The rats are trying to stay on the wood. So, okay, that was alright. The guy that was using the hose was like a fire hose.
Yeah.
Whenever he turned the water on, he's yelling. It's like,
I don't think
I
that
didn't
counts as soundtrack, but
I know, but I just thought of that. What
Yeah.
the heck?
yeah, that
Why?
was not very smart.
So there was one song.
I-
Other than
2.
that,
I give it a 2.
okay,
I wasn't impressed with the soundtrack.
I don't. Yeah,
Because
I
that
don't
song
remember the
didn't
soundtrack.
really fit. It just made it funny.
It was out of place.
Yes. So,
Yeah.
cinematography.
It wasn't bad.
It wasn't like a horrible cinematography.
It was. I'd put it probably a little under the Mangler.
They had a lot of points where you just see the shadow looming and
Yeah.
and it's always the foreman. Well, except for the very first one. First time you
Yeah.
did it.
Well, but you don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'll probably go
5.
with about 5. That's what DVD did. That's less than the Mangler. Special effects. There was some gory parts, but like there's a part where they're fighting with skeletons that have no meat left on them, but somehow the bones are staying connected. It's like, that's not how it would work.
Yeah.
So probably below average. I'd probably give it like a 3 or 4. They showed like the bat thing seemed somewhat realistic.
Yeah, I'd give it a 4.
Okay. DVD gave it a 5. Stunts.
What kind of stunts were there?
Well, there's like fight scenes. There's
Yeah.
the fighting the bat.
5.
Sure.
It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible.
Yeah. The plot. It's man against nature, I guess, and the foreman was pretty much a villain throughout the whole thing. So
Yeah.
there was man versus man also, but overall, not a ton of plot. I mean, there was nothing. At any point, they could have just turned around and walked away.
Well, and there were a lot of points that just like, why is this scene even in the movie? It doesn't even make sense.
So I would give it pretty.
3, maybe.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe. Well, was there more or less plot than Maximum Overdrive? Probably less. So I'm gonna go with a 2 on that.
Okay.
So did DVD. Continuity. This is a hard one to judge because it's like there was nothing grossly incontiguous, but it's like, were they stretching on anything? There were definitely unnecessary, but I don't know if I'd go as low as 2.
That's what DVD is.
DVD gave it a 2. I'm probably gonna go higher than that.
I'll be like 4.
Okay. I was thinking 3 or 4, so I'll just go with you.
So characters.
You've got the hero, who's a drifter, kind of quieter dude, but has a high sense of morality. There's the boss that's like a womanizer. He's willing to punch a woman in the face.
Yeah.
He's blatantly sexist, and
his actions don't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of one-dimensional, but there's some parts of it that is just like, what? I don't get it.
And then there's the exterminator, and you're like, why is this character even here?
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
And then there's the woman.
He did tell a pretty horrific story that was probably more horrific than anything else in the movie.
But it had nothing to do with
Right.
anything.
It was just like, we want to have this guy in the movie. Let's find a role for him.
It'd be interesting to see what that character's role was in the book, in the story.
If it was even in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, and then the other guys that are helping with the basement.
The guy that's yelling with the hose, and
Yeah.
then there's like this random black guy that's just there to be the black guy.
Yeah, I wasn't too
I'm
impressed
gonna
with the
rate characters really low on this one.
I'm thinking 2.
Okay. Acting, not good.
I might rate the acting a little higher than the characters, because
Okay.
even though the Warwick character, the foreman,
Was
the character
one-dimensional.
was like
He was a good
crazy.
actor.
He did really good acting for that. I might pull the score up a little bit.
Okay, I'm not
The rest
willing
of
to
the
go higher
cast-
than 3 though.
Yeah, 3. The
Because
rest of
the other
cast were
cast-
horrible.
Yeah, nobody was good.
Yeah,
So what are you gonna give it?
3.
Okay, we're on board with DVD. Dialogue was awful.
It was dumb. Dialogue was horrible.
Was it Mangler bad or Maximum Overdrive bad?
We've rated all of them pretty low so far. I don't know if it was as bad as the Manglers.
Yeah.
I'll give it a 2.
Okay.
That's a DVD.
So was Maximum Overdrive bad?
Yeah.
Horror?
It was more horror than the Mangler.
Yeah.
I just could not be afraid of the Mangler like a machine.
Because it didn't move.
Yeah, and even when it did move, it looked cartoonish.
Yeah. It didn't. I guess it moved that one time, but through most of the movie, it just. I mean. Okay, I don't want to go too much into the Mangler.
Right.
But
we already talked
on this
about that
one, this thing could come out and get you. And then there
Yes.
was even a scene where just the normal rats attacked people.
Well, and there was some suspense when the guy's down in the basement by himself.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, what's going to get him,
Right. Yeah. So probably better than
what we've seen so far.
Than Maximum or Mangler.
I'll just give it a 4.
Okay.
Because the Exterminator story was also pretty horrifying, too.
Yeah. And you got to see some guys chopped up in the
Yeah, that's true.
thing.
Yeah.
DVD gave that a 3. LOLs. I don't remember laughing at anything.
I think the only part I actually laughed, like, genuinely at the movie was when they did the Beach Boys thing.
Oh, that was actually.
Because I'm just like, what?
So, yeah, I'd probably bump that up to a 2 then.
Yeah, 2.
DVD gave it a 1, but that one scene,
1.
I don't remember
Nothing in there was worth quoting.
Yeah.
Even on IMDb, there's only like 3 quotes for the entire movie.
Oh, really?
And they're dumb ones.
Awaketitude, so how bored were you, I guess?
Near the middle, I was pretty bored.
Okay. Worse than the Mangler middle?
Oh, it was about the same.
Okay.
So.
Probably give it about the same.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. I don't.
Okay, so puns. I was wondering why we have puns on here, but this one pays off with the title.
Oh, yeah.
Graveyard Shift. Think about the scene with the exterminator in the graveyard, and that coffin shifts.
Oh, we did,
and
we
him.
pointed that out during the show. So there's a little bit of a pun there because
It's a graveyard shift.
They're working graveyard, and there is a graveyard.
Yes.
So does that bump it up to a 2? This will be our first 2 rating.
I might even give it a 3 or a 4 with that graveyard shift and the thing shifting and killing him in the graveyard.
So what are you gonna give it?
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Okay. I'm willing to go up to 2 on that.
Okay.
I think it could be a lot more punny.
Well, we'll see how the other ones are.
Groupitude. Would you watch this on your own?
No.
Me neither. But probably better than the Mangler, which we gave 2s. I would watch this more on my own than the Mangler.
So.
But not as much. Maybe probably not as much as Maximum Overdrive.
So is this
maybe
how much you would rather watch it in a group, or?
No, I think this is just like, would you sit down and watch this if you weren't doing it with us?
Oh, okay. So a low number would mean that I would not watch it by myself.
Yeah.
I would definitely need to watch it with a group.
Yeah. A high number would be like, yeah, I would sit down and watch that again.
Okay. So I'll give it a 2.
Okay. I'm going to probably give it a 3 because I thought it was about as
Good as the
good as
Maximum Overdrive.
Maximum Overdrive. Better than the Mangler.
Okay, so how'd we stack up?
Alright, so on IMDb, this one ranked 4.8, which is between the last two.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly in between them.
Mm.
No, it's
No.
closer to Maximum Overdrive.
Yeah.
Top critics gave it a 13 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the lowest so far, and the audience gave it a 22, which is slightly higher than the Mangler and much lower than the Maximum Overdrive. So combined, this got lower than either of the others, and it's also our lowest. So I can't believe we rated this lower than the Mangler.
But we did rate it higher than the
higher than the critics.
Right.
Which we have with the other ones too.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
All right.
Okay, that's Graveyard Shift.
Graveyard Shift.
I don't recommend it, but
please don't watch it. Oh.
Yeah, don't watch that.
It's not worth your time.
Next is Riding the Bullet. So
okay, never heard of it.
Me neither. We'll have to look and see where that's available. Yeah. All right, so this saved. I'm going to close that so we don't.
Right. Okay.
That's Nerdiculture.
Nerdiculture.
All right, for Technerdy, it's funny because I was looking for an article and I saw one that was talking about Adidas, and I was like, oh, that's funny. We talked about Adidas last week.
Yeah.
And I looked around. I was like, actually, that's the one that looks most appealing to me, so I'm going to talk about it. It's basically about shoe manufacturing. So when Nike...
How many rats are killed in the manufacture of shoes?
Hopefully a lot. So when Nike started making shoes back in like the 50s or something, let me see if I can find the year here. Oh, it's way up here. This article was way longer than I thought it was going to be. In 1964, Nike made 96% of their U.S. footwear in the U.S.
Wow.
In 2014, they made 2% in the U.S.
Oh.
So most shoes in the world are made in Asia. The reason is they're labor intensive, and labor in Asia is really cheap, so they can save money by shipping the stuff to Asia, having it put there, and shipping it back.
Okay.
Put together over there. So the problem is when you want to make a new shoe design, from when you design it to when you actually have them to sell is at least a year and a half, because you have to, get the materials, ship them to a factory, set the factory up to make that specific shoe. You have to, make it in different sizes, and then, they make them, and then they ship them to where they're going to be sold, and you sell them. Well, with online stuff now, that's by the time they go from design to actually selling them, whatever fashion sense is going on at the time they're designed is already passed. So companies like Adidas were losing a lot of ground because they're selling fashions that are out of date.
Oh, I see.
So they're like, we need to rethink our entire model. So they've got a bunch of, modern thinking people, and we're like, how can we get shoes built faster? Just like, because in the past, what they were doing was trying to shave down little things in their process. So they're taking an 18-month-long thing and trying to shave days off of it.
Right.
So you're going from, 180 days down to 175 days or something.
Which doesn't help.
Or, well, that's only half a year. So they're going from like 600 days down to 555 days,
Oh,
or something
wow.
like that. And it's just not, it wasn't helping. So what they're doing is they're turning to robotics to replace the human labor.
Right.
And so what that does is, so they're building robotics factories in the places that they're selling the shoes.
Oh.
And that's where the designers live.
Uh-huh.
So the designers can design the shoe,
Have a robot build it,
have robots build it really fast with
and then it's
modern
already in the
technology,
market.
and then sell them, and they can build a shoe in a day.
Wow.
So the way they're doing this is modern plastics. So they have molding machines. They have machines that can weave things. So, and also they're going away from things like leather, going into like plastics and woven materials like nylons and stuff. And
things that can be manufactured
quickly by a robot.
Yeah.
And out of materials that are plenty.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go and like find a leather distributor and get the right cut and grain of leather for your thing and then cut it into pieces and then sew all these leather pieces together. You can take this knit material and make the shoe out of one piece of that.
Right.
And then they also have different smart plastic pieces that are like interlocked in special ways to give them different flexibilities, and it's really cool. This article, it's a Wired article.
So more engineering goes into it.
Yeah, so you spend a little bit more time engineering it, but then these robots put them together super fast.
Yeah.
And the robot is just reading a program, so you can customize them more easily. So you could go into a store and they could measure your foot, send it to this, what they call the speed factory, and they could make the shoe in a day, and it's already, the factory is near where you live,
Yeah.
near the store.
Rather than retooling everything, training the workers on how to, do the different things.
Yeah. We've got a new shoe design, so here's how you make it. You got to train the people.
Right.
The person designs the shoe, they send the commands to the robot builds a shoe, so you could have your foot scanned and 2 days later have the shoe.
Yeah.
And it's custom for you. And you can choose the colors, everything about it. How soft you want or firm you want it, how much arch support, everything. And so it's getting, and then the people that work at the factory are local, so you can get a lot of countries that are the victims of outsourcing. So basically Western countries that have lost manufacturing jobs due to them being sent to Asia.
Yeah.
They're willing to give you subsidies if you bring jobs back.
Oh.
So you get subsidies to build your factory in this one that they're talking about, the speed factories in Bavaria, which is in Europe. Bavaria gives them a subsidy to build their factory in Bavaria, and then they get their plastic materials from locally. They get built there, so you're saving time. You don't have to ship stuff, which, is better for the environment.
Right.
And then, these countries get to get jobs back. Granted, it's fewer jobs, but it's a lot more efficient, and then the jobs are higher paying jobs,
right?
Because you're paying programmers and maintenance people instead of entry level, people sewing leather and cutting shapes out of leather with presses
like
and
the
stuff.
People of Santa Poco.
Yes. So it's pretty cool. So this is the model that most of the major
shoe companies
are going towards. So Nike has partnered with another company to design shoes, and they're going to cut the time to make a shoe in half. Under Armour is using 3D printers and body scanners and robots to make parts of their shoes. And Puma is building a robotic warehouse to cut out some of the human steps in their manufacture. So
They cut out humans?
yeah,
Oh,
they're cutting humans out, not up.
not up. Okay.
So this will make shoes better, hopefully. I mean, you're going to get a better product because it could be custom for your foot.
Probably for cheaper.
For cheaper because there's not shipping and,
And it's better for the environment.
Exactly. It's a win-win-win.
Awesome.
Yeah. So this is a really good article. If you're interested in this, you should look it up on Wired. It's called the Adidas Speed Factory. So
cool.
Yeah. It even talks about companies that are using artificially produced spider silk in shoes and 3D printing and all kinds of cool things. So this knitting thing is pretty cool too. There's a picture of it.
Oh yeah.
So they can knit. They use the knitting to make different patterns so that it flexes in specific ways, and
That's
then they
cool.
can cut the shapes out of that. So it's really awesome.
Sweet.
That's Technergy. If
Thanks.
you want to support the Enginerdy Show, head over to enginerdyshow.com, where you can click through our Amazon link to go to Amazon. So Christmas is coming up, Halloween, Thanksgiving, you're going to be buying a lot of stuff online. If you do it through Amazon, you don't have to go to these stores where you might have to interact with people. What if you don't have your earbuds with you and somebody talks to you or something? Well, that doesn't happen online. You just go to Amazon through our website so that they know that you want their what's that called? Their it's not a subscription. It's I don't know. Amazon automatically sets aside part of your purchase to either go to a charity or to sponsor somebody. So they sponsor us. So when you go through our website, they know to send that sponsorship money to us. I don't know if that's the right word, but
yeah. That kind of reminds me. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but so I've been taking the bus to and from work. And I found a foolproof way, well, almost foolproof, of making sure no one sits next to me on the bus.
Okay.
So since I'm taking
it involves not showering.
No.
Oh.
I shower every day. In the morning it's dark, but there are like lights above the seats,
Okay.
like on an airplane. So I'll find a seat and I'll turn my light on and pull out my paperback book and start reading it. And unless the bus is like completely full, people will not want to sit by me because the light's on.
Because they want to sit somewhere where it's dark.
Yeah, so they can sleep on the way to work.
Nice.
So far it's worked out pretty well. Doesn't work as well on the way home because
people are trying to sleep.
Yeah. But anyway, shall we move on to consumption?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, so I watched the movie The Italian Job.
Oh.
Again, I've seen it several times.
I like that one.
Yeah, I kind of slept through part of it though.
Yeah.
It was on the way back from...
so it didn't have good awake-titude?
Well, I was very tired.
Yeah,
I didn't sleep well the night before. So.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. It's got a good cast.
And speaking of reading on the bus, I finished the book Prey by Michael Crichton.
Yeah, it's a good one. I haven't read it in a long time.
It's one of my favorites. This is probably the 4th time I've read it.
Oh.
But I finished it in 5 bus trips.
Wow.
Well, my bus trips are pretty long.
Yeah, it's not a super long book.
No, it's not really long. The basic premise is about a cloud of nanobots that gets released in the environment and
I hate it when
evolves and starts deciding to kill people.
As they do.
Yes. It's one of Michael Crichton's normal type books with technology gone wrong.
A near future technology and how it could kill us.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of Jurassic Park.
Yeah. Instead of huge animals, it's tiny little critters, robots.
and it's written in first person.
Oh, yeah, that's always makes it interesting.
Just one from one character's point of view the whole way through.
Okay.
There is one part where um, he's having to relate something that happens when he's not there,
Oh,
and so the way he does it is, I'm trying to remember. Oh, he said that he watched the video. It was recorded in the video like security system. He
oh.
said he watched that later to know what happened with this other character.
Hmm.
Which the first couple times I read it, I'm like, but I'm like, that makes sense that he'd have to do it that way. Because another time, he had mentioned that one of the characters had told him something later on, because he's writing this from after the events have happened in the book.
Okay.
And so he mentioned something that a character said that she was thinking at one point in the book. And you're like, okay, well, I guess there's time that she could have told him that, later.
Mm-hmm.
And this one character, if he had done the same kind of thing, she told me about this later, then you would know that she survived. And it's kind of up in the air whether she does or not.
Oh,
So, anyway, I can see why he made that decision.
interesting.
And then I think I've watched my last episode of Luther. I'm in season 3, and it's just the characters' actions are just totally ridiculous. I cannot. It's just so annoying with the decisions that these characters make.
Hmm.
I really like Idris Elba, and I like his character, and his character seems to make consistent choices and decisions with his. I don't know, but
Huh.
I don't know. I don't think I can watch it anymore. It's a little annoying.
Yeah, I kind of gave up on watching the DC comic TV series,
Oh yeah.
like the Flash and Arrow, and
Oh
I
yeah.
was just like,
I got burned
this
out on those things
isn't
too.
like these characters don't interest me anymore.
Well, with the Arrow, like everyone becomes a superhero,
Yeah,
and it's just like it just gets convoluted.
yeah.
There's a lot of shows that do that to me. It gets a little too convoluted. Like Under the Dome, the
Mm,
second season, I couldn't get into it at
yeah,
all because
I
it's
couldn't
just
even
like
finish the first season.
things were like, but yeah. Anyway, that's my consumption.
Okay, well, speaking of superhero TV shows, I finished The Defenders season 1.
Oh
It was really good. Like
yeah,
the second half of it, especially, like it was like you wanted to keep watching
right,
because you wanted to see what was going to happen. It was really good, and the unexpected kept happening. Like you didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, there was one part where like, okay, he's obviously going to punch that, but
right.
that was a little like, really, you you should be rational enough to know that she's baiting you into doing this, but and he does it anyways. But still good. Those superheroes are interesting enough.
Yeah, You know what?
Their imperfections make them better.
Right. And I'm kind of liking these team up shows and movies, like the Avengers movies. Those were pretty
Yeah.
cool. I'm looking forward to the Justice League movie,
Hmm.
even though we've only been
Yeah, I haven't
seen a
seen
couple of these characters. But
the
the one,
Aquaman movie. Looks like it'll be. I mean, the trailer looks good. I don't know.
um,
Is that a wait? Is that the Justice League movie or is that a standalone?
the Justice League movie has Aquaman in it.
Okay, that's probably what I was thinking of.
Yeah. But another movie I'm looking forward to is Infinity Wars, Avengers
Oh,
Infinity Wars. It's supposed to also include all the Avengers, plus the Guardians of the Galaxy,
really?
and I don't know if they'll get the Defenders in there or not, but
Hmm.
I would like to see that. Anyway,
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard anything about it.
I was listening to science fiction podcast today, trying to catch up, and they mentioned a little bit about the Infinity Wars, and they saw a trailer or something for it.
Hmm.
But it sounded pretty cool.
So Master DVD is putting stuff into our
show
notes,
notes document while we're
but I don't
podcasting.
know if we should
Does he
talk
want
about
us to?
his consumption.
Should we just read through what he's written there?
The Inhumans,
He's
a
watched
Marvel show
Inhumans.
about people with physical differences and powers that live on the moon.
Okay.
Okay.
This Old House.
We all know what that is.
Craftsman House at the 3-level edition in Massachusetts.
The Gifted. It's a Marvel show with X-Men.
And the
Never
X-Men
heard of
have
it.
disappeared. Oh, after the X-Men have disappeared.
Oh, it's in the X-Men universe, but there's no X-Men left.
Okay, so my wife has been watching both The Gifted and the Inhumans. She preferred The Gifted.
Huh.
So.
Sounds interesting.
And then he's watched The Seals. The new show tracks a SEAL team on a mission and at home.
Weird.
Oh, I thought it was about the mammals, the sea mammals.
Or.
And that's DVD's consumption.
Interesting.
Well, I fear if we don't do this for him this time, he'll have to double up next time.
Yeah, I thought about that too.
Alright. Let's do some nerd cred.
Alright.
So, my nerd cred involves my son. So he came over a couple nights ago to play catch with the football and play some card games with us.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling us about something that he had thought up when he was in class, and then he put it into action later on, having to do with the gas station. I guess there's a certain gas station near where he works, I think he said, that if you pay with cash, it's like 10 cents a gallon cheaper than if you pay with card.
Right.
And so he had the idea that he would go into the convenience store that's associated with the gas station, buy a candy bar that was less than $2, and then get $40 cash back, and then use that cash
to pay for
the gas.
Nice.
And so, if you're filling up your tank, you're thinking, you're saving 10 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
And if you're putting in like 20 gallons, it's like at $2, and he's spending a little bit less than $2 on the candy bar. So.
And he gets a candy bar.
Yeah. So.
Nice.
I thought that was pretty cool. Especially that he thought about it beforehand. Like, I think he said he was even in his economics class. And he's like, I bet that would work. And so then he went and tried it, and it worked. And he said the attendant kind of gave him a little smile when he said, "Okay, now I'll use this cash to pay for the gas."
That's funny. I was at a gas station recently, and I was paying at the pump with my card. There's no difference at most gas stations, but
right.
I just used my debit card, and the gas station was fairly busy that day, and the pump I pulled up to, it had a message on the screen that was not the appropriate message for it just being idle. And so I like tried to clear out of it and stuff, and it wasn't acting right. And I was like, I could go back up to the one behind me because it would probably work. But then somebody pulled up there, so then all the pumps were full. And Mrs. Jimmy was in the convenience store getting us some sodas or something for the trip.
Yeah.
I think this was before we picked you guys up.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, well, I'm going to have to get this thing working. So I start like messing with the keypad to see if I can just get it to change. And so I got it to do something, but then it still wasn't at the right screen. So then I'm like trying to punch in different things to try and, with the clear button and trying different things like hitting the credit button and just trying to get it to move from where it was stuck. And eventually I got it cleared out so that it was like idle where it's waiting for you to put your card in. I used it, filled up, and it worked.
Yeah.
So I had to like command and conquer the gas pump.
So we've gotten so reliant on these pay at the pump gas stations. I remember several years ago there was a gas station that I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of a lower price than the other ones just a mile down the road. So I pulled in there, and they had these old-fashioned pumps. There was no way to pay at the pump.
Oh.
And I'm like, forget this. I get back in my car, drive a mile to the next one. Well, within a month, that gas station was out of business.
Yeah.
It's like, gotta keep up with the times, man.
The
No,
convenience is
yeah,
worth a
yeah.
lot. Yeah. Well, I can't, like, that gas station that I was at, we went there because it has a good convenience store,
Hmm.
and it was on our way.
Right.
But I don't go there normally because their gas pumps have that, like, sleeve over the thing that you have to compress or it
Uh-huh.
won't turn on.
Yeah.
Well, I can't do that on my motorcycle very easily because I
Hmm.
can't just, like, stick the nozzle all the way into the tank. I have to hold it
Yeah.
right at the lip and then watch it so I know when it's getting full. And I've tried it before there, and I have to, like, with one hand pull the sleeve up and then with the other hand, So
Yeah.
I just don't go there normally. But
Well, with my old 1980 pickup truck, there's some gas stations that the design of the nozzle makes it really difficult to put gas in it.
yeah,
I like have to just squeeze a tiny bit on the handle so it doesn't like chug and turn off, and hold it in a certain angle,
oh,
and it's just like
it's like,
slowly
okay, I'm not
dripping
getting gas
gasoline
here
in there.
anymore.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, I'm
it's not
thinking
worth
though,
it.
like, eventually these sleeve things, because they're supposed to, like, keep the fumes from going into the air,
Yeah.
It captures the fumes. And, like, eventually probably everywhere will have these.
Mm,
And it's just going to suck to gas up my bike.
yeah. They should
Yeah.
have special bicycle, or not bicycle,
Motorcycle.
motorcycle fuel pumps like they do the diesel.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But probably won't happen.
Anyways, so DVD's nerd cred is
He's got 3 of them.
playing football with no pads against people wearing pads and getting owned.
Is that really nerd cred?
That's how he got his concussion. Going to work with a concussion to avoid boredom, but at night to avoid people and stress.
That's why he's not
So
here.
that's why he's not here. He stayed home from work yesterday and today, but he went into work at 4, which is when most people leave, so that people won't be bugging him and trying to make him make decisions.
So this is a peek inside DVD's psyche, where he goes to work to avoid being bored.
Oh, yeah. He could have easily just used sick leave.
But
Although I know he doesn't have very much.
and I still don't understand how he does everything that he does in the day and still works overtime.
And coaches football.
Yes.
I don't think he sleeps.
He must not.
And he also bought the Harry Potter Hogwarts Challenge
Oh.
and has been playing it and winning. He says through year 3, so he must not have gone past year 3 yet.
Yeah, the way that game works is it builds through the 7 books.
Each year you add new villains,
more complexity,
and bad
and difficulty
things that can happen and stuff. But then you get more cards you can get. It's really fun.
Cool.
All right, our final segment is feedback. We got a new like on our Pinterest board by Stevie.
Stevie Wonder?
No. Maybe.
I wonder if it's Stevie Wonder.
It just said Stevie, so we're going to assume it's Stevie Wonder. And so what happened with uploading last week's episode is I've recovered my Windows because it's just been running kind of slow and crashing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So that removed all the programs.
Oh.
So then Sunday, Friday we went on our trip. We got back Sunday evening.
Yeah.
And I went to do the podcast editing and realized I didn't have the software on the computer anymore. And so I was like, where is it? I'm like, oh, I think it's at DVD's house.
Oh.
Which it was.
Yeah.
So I just sent out a tweet Sunday night saying, hey, show won't be up till tomorrow because I have to go get the software and re-download it. So Monday, I got home from work and on my way home from work, I stopped and got software.
Mm-hmm.
Got home, put it on the computer, got the show ready, and the computer was... I shouldn't have done this, but I had to re-download Microsoft Office.
Mm-hmm.
So I started that going.
Oh.
while I was, because sometimes when editing, I have to wait for it to do something.
Right.
And while I was doing that, I was like, oh, I'll just download my Microsoft Office right now. Well, I didn't know how long it was going to take. And so when I was uploading it, I upload it to 2 different sites, because one of them is where our website grabs it from.
Right.
And the other one is the one that sends it out to iTunes and Stitcher and other pod apps.
Catchers.
So I did the one for our website first, and it took a really, really long time.
Oh.
And also, that was the night you guys were coming over and we were going to watch the movie, which is streaming.
Oh, yeah.
So, I didn't upload the one that was supposed to go out to iTunes until after you guys left.
Oh.
So I just hit upload and went to bed. Well, I got up the next morning and Neil Orangepeel had tweeted out like, hey, I got the tweet saying the episode was out, but it didn't show up on my feed, you know? But it was only like 6 hours after I had uploaded it. So I was like, it's probably just slow. So then I got home, and I'd kind of been thinking about it during the day. I got home and checked on it, and it hadn't uploaded.
Oh, dang.
Like, that window that I had been uploading it in was closed. Like, it had crashed or something.
Oops.
So I went and re-uploaded it. And then Neil tweeted out later, okay, I got it, or whatever, cool. I think. Or maybe I tweeted out to him that I had done it. Or
got it finally working.
And then there was a bunch of conversation with Matthew from Passersby. He's got a new podcast called Sunday Morning Waffles or something.
Okay.
That he does with his son. But his Twitter handle says something about Waffle Daddy or Daddy Waffle or something. But he was talking about rugby because our show art for last week was a picture my wife had taken at Masters Ed's rugby game. And he was saying that he used to play, but he got injured.
Oh.
Can't play anymore. Broke his collarbone or something. Was advised to
not
retire.
Play anymore.
Yeah, so Masters Ed kind of commented back and forth, and then Masters Ed at some point saw our tweet about the episode and went, oh, that's me in that picture, you know. So
cool.
Lots of rugby talk on the Twitter this week.
Wow, cool.
If you want to contact us, send an email to engineerdyshow@gmail.com, or you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. You can listen to the show on iTunes and Stitcher, probably. I don't know.
Stitcher's still kind of behind, at least mine is.
Yeah, and our downloads have gone way down for those 2 services, so maybe there's something wrong with iTunes. I don't have iTunes on my computer anymore.
I don't have iTunes
so
either. Maybe I'll check on my wife's computer.
Okay. If somebody can check iTunes and make sure our feed is still updating, that'd be nice, because there was a noticeable drop at some point, and it was about the time that Mom was saying that Stitcher wasn't updating.
You can watch it on YouTube. That's what my wife does.
Oh, and maybe more people are doing that. Because I know Masters Ed said he's started watching it or not necessarily watching it, but having it up in the background so he can listen to it.
Well, because it comes up a couple days earlier on YouTube.
It does. So right. So you can get it early on YouTube just by searching Enginerdy Show.
Yep.
And go to engineerdyshow.com, where you can click through the Amazon link in the menu on the top right side and do your Amazon shopping for the holiday season.
Which is coming up.
It is. It's already October, so
yep.
We're on our calendar that's 3x4 grid. We're in the bottom row.
Yep.
So it's getting there. It's crazy because to me it still feels like we're in summer.
Yeah.
Because it's still been warm here.
Yeah.
It hasn't really rained that much yet.
Yep.
It's just weird.
Yeah, I had an awesome summer.
It was a really nice summer. Thank you for listening this week. Stay nerdy.
Live long and nerdy.